The living room was full when Mom made her announcement. Sunday family dinner, the weekly tradition where everyone gathered at the house I grew up in. My house, technically, though no one seemed to remember that detail. "Vanessa, we need to talk about your bedroom," Mom said, setting down her wine glass with that particular authority she'd perfected over the years. I looked up from my plate. "What about it?" "Well," Mom glanced at my sister Jordan, who sat across from me looking simultaneously hopeful and apologetic. "Jordan and Marcus are expecting due notice, and they need more space for the baby." "Congratulations again," I said to Jordan. "That's exciting." "Thanks, V," Jordan said quietly. "The thing is," Mom continued, "they're living in that tiny apartment downtown. It's not suitable for a baby, so they're going to move back home for a while." I nodded. "Makes sense." "They'll need the master bedroom," Mom said. "The one you're in." I set down my fork. "The master bedroom. It's bigger," Mom explained. "They'll need space for a crib, changing table, all the baby furniture. Your room is the only one that makes sense." My brother-in-law Marcus spoke up. "We really appreciate this, Vanessa. It's just temporary. Until we can save for a down payment." "Where would I go?" I asked. "The guest room," Mom said. "It's perfectly nice. A little smaller, but you're just one person. You don't need all that space." Around the table, my relatives Auntie Marie, Uncle Paul, Cousin Devin, and his wife Chloe ate quietly, eyes down. This was clearly a decision that had already been made. When I asked, "Next weekend," Jordan said. "If that's okay, we've already given notice on our apartment." "Next weekend," I repeated. "Vanessa, don't be difficult about this," Mom said. "Family helps family. Jordan needs your room more than you do." "I'm not being difficult," I said. "I'm just processing." "You're being selfish," Mom said flatly. "You've had that room for 10 years. Jordan is starting a family. Surely you can make this small sacrifice." "Small sacrifice," "Yes," Mom said firmly. "You're 34 years old, still living at home, still in your childhood bedroom. Meanwhile, your sister is building a life. The least you can do is give her the space to do it." Marcus reached for Jordan's hand. "We don't want to cause problems." "You're not," Mom interrupted. "Vanessa is being unreasonable, but she come around." "Won't you, Vanessa?" I looked at Mom, at Jordan, at Marcus with his grateful smile, at my aunt and uncle and cousin who were all suddenly fascinated by their pot roast. "You're right," I said. Mom blinked. "I am. Absolutely. Jordan needs the room more than I do. Family helps family. I'll move my things to the guest room." Jordan's face lit up. "Really, Vanessa, thank you. This means so much." "Of course," I said, standing up. "I'll start packing tonight." "See," Mom said to the table. I knew Vanessa would be reasonable once she thought about it. I carried my plate to the kitchen, scraped it into the trash, and walked upstairs to my room, the master bedroom with the ensuite bathroom and the walk-in closet, and the bay window overlooking the garden. The room I'd been living in for 10 years. The room in the house I'd been paying for. I sat on my bed and pulled out my phone, opening the folder I'd labeled property records. Inside were 10 years of bank statements, transfer receipts, and a very detailed spreadsheet. I'd always known this day would come, the day when Mom's favoritism would become impossible to ignore. The day when I'd have to decide whether to keep playing along or to finally tell the truth. I opened my laptop and added a few notes to the spreadsheet. Updated the totals, recalculated the interest. Then I sent a calendar invite for tomorrow evening. Family meeting, financial discussion. Monday evening, they all gathered again. Mom had been confused by the meeting request, but intrigued enough to spread the word. Everyone from Sunday dinner returned, plus a few extras. Aunt Marie brought her husband Jim, and Jordan invited Marcus's parents, Linda and Robert. "What's this about, Vanessa?" Mom asked as everyone settled into the living room. "We were just here yesterday." "I know," I said. "But after our conversation about the bedroom, I realized we need to have a different conversation. One we should have had years ago. This sounds ominous, Uncle Paul joked. Not ominous, I said, just honest. I connected my laptop to the TV and pulled up my spreadsheet. The title appeared on the screen, Property Financial History, 2014-2024. Mom squinted at the screen. What is that? This, I said, is a detailed accounting of every mortgage payment, property tax payment, insurance payment, and major repair expense on this house for the last 10 years. The room went quiet. Why would you have that? Jordan asked. Because I've been making them, I said. I clicked to the next slide. It showed the house title. Owner, Vanessa Marie Thompson. Purchase date, June 2014. Purchase price, $340,000. Wait, Marcus said. You own this house? Yes, I said. Mom stood up. That's not funny, Vanessa. It's not a joke, Mom. I pulled up the county records on the screen. I bought this house 10 years ago when you were about to lose it. You couldn't afford the mortgage on your income alone. The bank was starting foreclosure proceedings. I remember that, Aunt Marie said quietly. That was a terrible time. I had just gotten my first big promotion at work, I continued. I'd been saving aggressively for years. I had enough for a down payment and the bank approved me for a mortgage. So I bought the house. Why didn't you tell us? Uncle Paul asked. I did tell you, I said. I told Mom the day we closed. Premada told Jordan. I told Aunt Marie. Aunt Marie nodded slowly. You did. You said you'd bought the house and we could all keep living here. I thought you were joking. The way you said it was so casual. Like you were talking about buying a car? I didn't want it to be a big deal, I said. Mom was grieving. Jordan was in college. I just wanted to solve the problem and move on. But you said the house was still in my name, Mom protested. You said nothing would change. I said nothing had to change in how we lived. I never said the house was in your name. You assumed that? Jordan looked stricken. Vanessa, I had no idea. I know, I said. Because after I told you that first week, no one ever asked about it again. Everyone just kept living here like they always had, and I kept paying the bills. I clicked to the next slide. It showed a monthly breakdown. Asterisk mortgage payment $1,847 asterisk property taxes $520 month paid. Quarterly asterisk home insurance $185 month asterisk HOA fees $95 month asterisk average repairs maintenance $400 month total monthly cost $3,047 for 10 years. I said, I've been paying $3,047 every single month to maintain this house. That's $36,564 per year. Over 10 years, that's $365,640 in total expenses. Aunt Marie's coffee cup slipped from her hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. No one moved to clean it up. $365,000. Uncle Paul repeated. Actually, I clicked to the next slide. That's just the regular expenses. This slide shows the major repairs and renovations. The list appeared. Asterisk new roof, 2016, $18,000. Asterisk HVAC replacement, 2017, $12,000. Asterisk kitchen renovation, 2018, $35,000. Asterisk bathroom remodels, both 2019, $28,000. Asterisk new water heater, 2020, $3,200. Foundation repair 2021, and $22,000 por NE Windows throughout 2022, and $31,000. Driveway repaving 2023, $8,900. Asterisk electrical panel upgrade, 2024, $6,500. Total additional investment, $164,600. Add it all together, I said, and I've invested $530,240 in this house over 10 years. The room was completely silent. Mom sat down slowly. Why didn't you tell us? I did tell you, Mom. Multiple times. 3 years ago, when the roof needed replacing, I said, I need to get quotes for the new roof. You said, "That's nice, dear." When the HVAC died, I said, "The air conditioning repair is going to be expensive." You said, "Better you than me." Every single time, I mentioned what I was paying for. And every single time, you either didn't hear it or didn't want to know. "But you live here too," Jordan said. "These are your expenses anyway." "Are they?" I asked. Because I could have bought a much smaller house, a condo, something that cost half as much and required less maintenance. Instead, I bought this house, the family home, because I didn't want Mom to lose it, because I didn't want to disrupt everyone's lives. Because family helps family. I clicked to another slide. This is my current mortgage balance, $172,640 remaining. At my current payment schedule, I'll have it paid off in 6 years. Jesus, Cousin Devon muttered. "I've been living in the master bedroom," I continued, "because it's my house, and that's the room I chose. I've let everyone believe this was still Mom's house because it seemed easier than making it awkward. I've paid for every repair, every upgrade, every bill for 10 years while working 60-hour weeks at my job and traveling for work constantly." "We didn't know," Mom whispered. "You didn't ask," I said. "Yesterday, you told me I was being selfish for not wanting to give up my room. You said I was living at home at 34 like it was something to be ashamed of. You said Jordan needs the space more than I do." I clicked to the final slide. It showed a simple calculation. If Jordan and Marcus moved in, asterisk additional water usage, tilde, $40 month, asterisk additional electricity, tilde, $80 month asterisk additional wear on appliances, tilde, $50 month asterisk additional food if shared, tilde, $400 month asterisk baby-related modifications needed, tilde, $15,000 estimated cost of housing Jordan's family, $21,840 first year, then $6,840 year ongoing. I'm not saying Jordan can't move in, I said. I'm saying that if she does, we need to be honest about what that means. It means I'm housing my sister, her husband, and their baby, rent-free, while continuing to pay all the expenses on a house I own. Marcus's face had gone pale. "Vanessa, we had no idea." "None. Jordan's been telling us this was Patricia's house." "I thought it was," Jordan said, her voice shaking. "Mom, you told me Vanessa was living with you. You said she couldn't afford her own place because of her student loans." All eyes turned to Mom. I didn't mean, ... double quotes, Mom stammered. "I thought, ... Vanessa, you were so casual about it. You never made it seem like a big deal." "Because I didn't want it to be a big deal," I said. "I wanted us to be a family, to support each other, but apparently that only works one way." Aunt Marie finally spoke. "Patricia, did you really not know Vanessa owned this house? She mentioned buying it once," Mom said defensively. 10 years ago. It was right after the funeral. Everything was chaos. I thought she was talking about helping with payments, not actually buying it." "For 10 years?" Uncle Paul asked. "You thought she was helping with payments on a house you supposedly owned, and you never once asked about the details. Never saw a mortgage statement. Never wondered where the property tax bills went." Mom's face crumpled. "I thought she was being dramatic. You know how Vanessa she exaggerates sometimes. I thought she'd help with the down payment or something, and was acting like she bought the whole house." "I don't exaggerate," I said quietly. "I undersell. It's one of my flaws." Jordan was crying now. "Vanessa, I'm so sorry. I would never have asked for your room if I'd known. I thought this was Mom's house. I thought you were just living here because it was convenient." "It is convenient," I said. "It's a 15-minute drive to my office. But I could have bought a condo downtown for half the cost and had a 5-minute commute. I kept this house because it's the family home. Because Mom loved it. Because Dad loved it. Because I didn't want us to lose that." Linda, Marcus's mother, cleared her throat. "Vanessa, We owe you an apology, too. We were so grateful you were being flexible about giving up your room. We thought you were doing a small favor. We had no idea what you've actually been doing. Can we pay rent? Marcus asked suddenly. If we move in, we should pay rent. Obviously. How much were you planning to pay? I asked. We were thinking, Jordan said hesitantly, maybe help with groceries? And utilities? Groceries and utilities, I repeated, on a $600,000 house with a $3,000 monthly operating cost. Marcus put his head in his hands. We're idiots. You're not idiots, I said. You just didn't have all the information. Because I didn't give it to them, Mom said, her voice breaking. Because I didn't want to admit to vent to myself that my daughter had to bail me out. That I couldn't keep the house on my own. That I'd failed. You didn't fail, Mom, I said. Dad died suddenly. You were grieving. The finances were overwhelming. There's no shame in that. But there's shame in taking advantage of you for 10 years, Mom said. In letting you pay for everything while I acted like I still owned the house. In telling people you were living with me instead of admitting I was living with you. Aunt Marie stood up and carefully stepped over the broken coffee cup. She walked to Mom and sat beside her. Patricia, we all grieve differently. We all protect our pride in different ways. But it's time to be honest now. I don't even know where to start, Mom said. Start with thank you, Aunt Marie suggested. Thank you, Vanessa, for saving the house. For letting us all stay, for paying for everything while we were oblivious. Thank you, Mom whispered. Thank you, Vanessa. For everything. Jordan stood up and came to me. Vanessa, we're not moving in. Obviously. We'll figure something else out. You can move in, I said. What? Jordan and Marcus said simultaneously. You can move in, I repeated. But we need to do it properly. You'll pay rent. Market rate for a 2-bedroom suite in this area is about $2,400 a month. You'll sign a lease. You'll be tenants, not house guests. That's more than fair, Marcus said immediately. And Mom? I turned to her. You'll pay rent too. Mom looked up, startled. What? $1,500 a month for the master bedroom and private bathroom. That's actually below market rate. But you're my mother and I'm willing to give you a family discount. I can't afford that, Mom said. My salary. Then downsize, premedicide gently. Move to the guest room. That's $800 a month. Still your own space. Just smaller. Uncle Paul laughed suddenly. Vanessa, you're a genius. You've been running a boarding house and no one realized it. I've been running a charity, I corrected. Time to run a business instead. I'll move to the guest room, Mom said quietly. Jordan should have the master. She's got a baby coming. Are you sure? Jordan asked. I'm sure, Mom said. It's past time I stopped acting like I own this place. I pulled out my phone and opened a document. I had my lawyer draw up lease agreements last night. Just in case. You knew this would happen, Aunt Marie asked. I knew eventually we'd need to have this conversation, I said. Yesterday just pushed the timeline. I sent the lease agreements to Jordan and Mom's emails. Look those over. If you agree to the terms, sign them and send them back. First month's rent is due before move-in. Marcus was already reading on his phone. This is incredibly fair, Vanessa. More than fair. I'm not trying to profit off my family, I said. I'm just trying to stop subsidizing them. What about utilities? Jordan asked. Are those included? Split 3 ways, I said. We'll track monthly usage and divide it equally. Same with any shared household supplies. What about the baby? Mom asked. Will you charge rent for the baby? I smiled slightly. The baby gets a pass. For now. Once they're 18, we renegotiate. That got a small laugh from around the room. Cousin Divan spoke up. For what it's worth, Vanessa, I think you're handling this incredibly well. Most people would have exploded yesterday when Patricia asked you to move rooms. I wanted to, I admitted, but I've learned that spreadsheets are more effective than shouting. Where did you learn that? Uncle Paul asked, genuinely curious. Work, I said. I'm a financial analyst. I solve problems with data. This was just another problem that needed data. Aunt Marie looked at me with new respect. Your father's daughter. He would have handled it exactly this way. Dad would have told them on day one that he owned the house, I said. Maybe, Aunt Marie conceded, but he also would have let everyone stay, just like you did. He was generous to a fault. And look where that got him, Mom said bitterly, dead at 52 from a stress-induced heart attack because he couldn't say no to anyone. The room went quiet again. Mom, I said gently, Dad died because he had an undiagnosed heart condition. Not because he was generous. He was stressed all the time, Mom insisted. About money, about work, about taking care of everyone. That stress killed him. Maybe, I said. Or maybe genetics killed him, and stress was just a factor. Either way, I'm not Dad. I know how to set boundaries. I'm setting them now. Jordan wiped her eyes. We'll sign the lease. Thank you, Vanessa, for letting us stay. For being so reasonable when we were so unreasonable. When is the baby due? I asked. 6 months, Jordan said. Then you've got time to get settled, I said. Move into the master. Set up the nursery. Make it your space. What about you? Mom asked. You're really okay with the guest room. It's a perfectly good room, I said. And honestly, I'm traveling for work 3 weeks a month lately. I barely use the space anyway. 3 weeks a month, Aunt Mary asked. Vanessa, that's exhausting. It's temporary, I said. I'm on a major project. Once it's done, I'll be back to normal travel. What do you do exactly? Cousin Devin asked. Jordan's always been vague. When I ask, I'm a senior financial analyst for a consulting firm, I said. I help companies restructure their finances, identify and optimize their operations. That sounds important, Linda said. It pays well, I said. Well enough to afford this house and everyone in it, apparently. Not anymore, Marcus said firmly. We're paying our way. Good, I said. Robert, Marcus's father, finally spoke. He'd been quiet the whole evening. Vanessa, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you let this go on for so long? 10 years is a long time to pay for everything without saying something. I thought about it, because I loved this house, because I loved having family around, because it made me feel close to Dad, keeping his house standing, and because, honestly, I thought someone would eventually ask, would eventually wonder how a house this size was being maintained, would eventually notice the new roof or the renovated kitchen or the repaved driveway and ask who paid for it. And no one did, Robert said. No one did, I agreed. So I kept paying and kept quiet and told myself it was fine. But yesterday changed that, Aunt Marie said. Yesterday, I said, Mom called me selfish for wanting to keep my own bedroom in my own house, and I realized that if I didn't speak up now, I never would. That idea, keep paying and keep quiet and keep feeling taken advantage of until I was 60 years old and bitter about it. You're not bitter now, Uncle Paul asked. Not yet, I said. Ask me again in 10 years if nothing changes. Mom stood up. Things are changing. Starting now, Vanessa, I'll sign the lease. I'll pay rent, and I'll stop acting like this is my house. It's still your home, I said. That doesn't change. It's your house, Mom corrected, and I'm grateful, so grateful that you're letting me live in it. Jordan came over and hugged me. I'm sorry, V, for assuming. For being entitled, for not seeing what you were doing. You didn't know, I said. I should have known, Jordan insisted. I should have asked. I should have wondered. Instead, I just accepted the comfortable lie that this was Mommy's house and you were just living here. Marcus joined the hug. Thank you for giving us a chance to make this right. Just pay your rent on time, I said. That's how you make it right. They laughed and stepped back. Aunt Marie started picking up the broken coffee cup. I'll replace this. It's just a cup, I said. It's the principle, Aunt Marie said. I broke something in your house. I replace it. That's how this works now, right? Right, I agreed. The meeting broke up shortly after. People hugged me, thanked me, apologized again. Marcus's parents pulled me aside to tell me they'd make sure Jordan and Marcus paid rent on time. Cousin Devin said he wished he'd known earlier because he would have helped with some of the repairs. When everyone was gone except Mom and Jordan, we sat in the living room together. "This is weird," Jordan said. "What is?" I asked. "Thinking of you as the landlord. You're my little sister." "I'm 3 years younger than you," I said, "and I've been the landlord for 10 years. You just didn't know it." "How do we make this less weird?" Mom asked. "We don't," I said. "We accept the weirdness. We acknowledge that our family dynamic has been built on a fundamental misunderstanding for a decade, and we move forward with honesty." "Honesty," Mom repeated. "I haven't been honest. Not with you. Not even with myself." "Why not?" I asked. Mom looked at her hands. "Because admitting you saved the house meant admitting I couldn't. Admitting you were paying for everything meant admitting I'd failed as a mother. It was easier to pretend nothing had changed, to act like I still owned the house and you were just helping a little." "But I wasn't helping a little," I said. "I was paying for everything." "I know that now," Mom said. "I'm sorry it took me 10 years to see it." "Better late than never," I said. Jordan looked around the living room. "Did you pay for this furniture too?" "Most of it," I said. "The couches from when I bought the house. The chairs I bought 3 years ago when the old ones wore out. The coffee table is Mom's original." "Vanessa," Jordan said slowly, "you've built a whole life around taking care of us. What do you do for yourself?" I thought about it. I travel for work. I invest aggressively. I read a lot. I'm learning Italian. "You don't date?" Mom asked. "Sometimes," I said. "It's hard with the travel schedule." "You don't have hobbies." "I have hobbies. I just don't talk about them much." "Why not?" Jordan asked. "Because," I said carefully, "every time I mentioned doing something for myself, it felt like someone needed something. Mom needed help with a repair. You needed help moving. Aunt Marie needed someone to watch the house while she was away. It was easier to just keep my head down and handle what needed handling." "That's not healthy," Mom said. "No," I agreed. "Itse. No. Things are going to change," Jordan said firmly. "You're going to start doing things for yourself. Going places. Dating. Living your life." "Maybe," I said. "Definitely," Jordan insisted. "You've spent 10 years taking care of everyone else. It's time someone took care of you." "I take care of myself," I said. "You maintain yourself," Mom corrected. "That's not the same as taking care of yourself." I didn't have an answer for that. "Vanessa," Mom said, "I'm going to say something, and I want you to really hear it." "Okay." "Okay? You are not responsible for holding this family together. You never were. You're my daughter, not my savior, and I'm sorry I let you become both." I felt tears prickling. "Mom, no. Let me finish," Mom said. "Your father died and I fell apart. And you were 24 years old and you stepped up. You bought a house. You took care of me. You took care of Jordan. You kept everything running while I grieved. And I let you. For 10 years, I let you carry a burden that was never yours to carry." "Someone had to," I said. "But it didn't have to be you," Mom said. "I'm the parent. It should have been me." "You were grieving," I said. "For 10 years?" Mom asked. "At some point grief becomes an excuse. I've been using grief as an excuse to avoid responsibility. To avoid seeing how much you were doing. To avoid feeling guilty about taking advantage of you." "You weren't taking advantage," I started. "Yes, I was," Mom interrupted. "Maybe not intentionally, but I was living in your house, rent-free, acting like I owned it while you paid for everything. That's taking advantage, even if I didn't mean to." Jordan nodded. "We both were, and we're going to fix it." "You're signing leases," I said. "That's Fixing it. That's the start, Jordan said. But we need to do more. We need to actually see you, Vanessa. Actually appreciate what you do. Actually acknowledge that you're the one holding this together. I don't need acknowledgement, I said. Yes, you do, Mom said. Everyone does, and you've been doing all of this without any acknowledgement for a decade. That's going to change. We sat in silence for a moment. Can I ask you something? Jordan said. Sure. Why did you prepare all those spreadsheets? Did you know Mom was going to ask about the room? Not specifically, I said, but I knew something would eventually happen. Some request, some assumption, some moment where I'd have to either speak up or let it go. I've been updating those spreadsheets for years, just in case. That's sad, Mom said softly. That's prepared, I corrected. It's both, Mom said. She was right, it was but. What happens now? Jordan asked. Now, I said. You move in. You pay rent. You help with household chores. We split utilities. We act like adults sharing a house instead of children living with their parent. And you? Mom asked. What do you do? I said, am going to take that Italian cooking class I've been eyeing, and book that trip to Rome I've been putting off, and maybe, just maybe, go on more than 2 dates with the guy from my gym who keeps asking me out. Jordan grinned. There's a guy from your gym. There might be, I said. Tell us about him, Mom urged, and for the first time in 10 years, I talked about something that was just for me. Not a house repair or a family obligation or a financial responsibility. Just something I wanted. It felt strange, but it also felt like coming home.